Alrighty. Let us begin the Massive Multiplayer Mondays. Let us begin the Massive... Alright. Seems like I have decent levels. We will see what people think. And let's talk about stuff, I guess. So this is my little chat bar is. So this is probably the last week we're going to be playing Final Fantasy 14. I mean, I might have not run out of things to talk about, but but I think it's time to move on to other things. We did 3 shows on Final Fantasy. We might be rolling on to other things, but I kind of want to take the time. I might do some roulettes here, might do some random other stuff. But I guess where are my manners? My name is Morgan Forbush. I am a master's student in anthropology at UWM, in cultural anthropology specifically, and welcome to Massive Multiplayer Mondays. I play a massively multiplayer online game, typically of the role-playing variety, such as Final Fantasy XIV or World of Warcraft, and that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So we're going to get started. If it's anything like the last few times, we might get a David or a Ren wandering in at about 5 p.m. So we will welcome them when they get here. So anyway, starting with what we're talking about today. So today I figured we could talk a little bit about gray market stuff and trial accounts. So we'll talk about trial accounts a little bit later because Ren has a trial account. So if we'll give him time to get here, and if he gets here, we could talk about trial accounts. If not, we won't. Well, we'll talk about it without Ren. But anyway, so gray market stuff. Ooh, spooky. So here, I can bring my chat window up for you guys. You can't really see it very well, but you kind of can. So I'm sitting in Limsa Lominsa because it's kind of there's a lot of people hanging around. I'll get rid of that for now. A lot of people hanging around doing stuff, and there is kind of this endemic problem to, MMO games that I've seen in multiple places, not just Final Fantasy, and it's kind of notorious on like World of Warcraft and that kind of stuff, and that is bot spamming. We only got one here today. Typically there's like 2 or 3 that are spamming different sites. By this point I can kind of recognize what sites they're talking about. I have not been on them until today, but I can recognize like, oh, these guys are talking about this one, those guys are talking about this one. They're usually... So this guy is... I think he's probably Rogan because that sounds... It's just a randomized name. They probably are in... They probably have either a trial account or they have a bot that is a paid for subscription. We'll get to that a little bit later. And they just sit in Limsa or other major cities and talk about... they say, hey, this one in particular is saying 5gold.com, buy Final Fantasy XIV, guild cheapest, 100% handiwork guaranteed, 24/7 online service, and then it gives you a code. So what they're offering is what... Well, that's a thing that just happened. My company ranked up. Woo. But, so these guys will stand in Limsa Lominsa or Gridania or any of the major areas and just spam this advertisement, hoping that people will go to their website and buy from them. And these websites, you pay real money to buy in-game currency that is not Final Fantasy, not Square Enix compliant. So Square Enix specifically says in the terms of service, hey, what they call is real money transfer. Real money transactions are not allowed. You cannot buy gold from third-party websites. You can't buy mounts, clears, pretty much anything for real money. And if you do, if you're found that that happens, or you're found that you are soliciting in Linzminza to sell gold, or you're botting and that kind of stuff to spam, you get terminated. And I don't have the launcher up because I didn't think about it, but every month, every 2 weeks, it actually, Square Enix puts out a update saying this is how many accounts we've terminated for RMT transactions, and this is how many people we terminated for cheating, and this is how many people they have accounts terminated for soliciting RM real money transactions, and then they have a separate number for how many people they've terminated for engaging in real market transactions. They really don't like it, which is fair because, I mean, Square Enix wants to have an in-game economy, and people who buy gold or buy gil kind of ruin that economy, as well as botting ruins people's thoughts in other ways. So Square Enix doesn't like it. We'll go stand over here. Maybe it'll be less loud. Hello, sir. But so Square Enix doesn't like it, and Square Enix doesn't like it so much that they have actually implemented a thing in the chat box. You just right click, it says report, and the only report option there is report RMT activity. Click it. They say, hey, this guy's going to be reported for conducting RMT activity, and proceed. I will say, they have to put this in here, I think for malicious reasons. It says, if this report is found to be baseless and or of malicious intent, you may face punishment. So if I report someone and they find out that I was just doing it to piss off, one of my compatriots in my FC or something, or I don't know if it extends far enough where if someone's harassing me and I report them for RMT, if that's going to be punishment to me. I would presume it is because it's a false report. But, they put that in there, and you hit agree, you hit report. I have reported it. And it says, a report of suspicious actions of a name I can't pronounce has been sent. A reply will not be forthcoming. And replies are not. Other reports, like if you're reporting harassment or things, or phishing, they reply to you because you go to the GMT desk, and maybe we'll talk about the GM desk, because if we're talking about violations, we could talk about that. But so yeah, they don't like it enough to actually add in a really easy way to report it, which I wholeheartedly agree with. I don't like being spammed with gold sellers. I don't also like being spammed with people who buy our clears and that kind of stuff. And that gets into an ethical, moral question maybe about what people can do in the game of Final Fantasy. Let me move that back down behind the serious play. So if my FC buds are talking about stuff, they're not going to get ratted out. And also just to protect privacy. I don't really necessarily care about the privacy of that guy. He's a bot. He's probably not even being piloted right now. So there's gold sellers. There are people who sell raid clears. There are people who sell I don't know. There's a lot of people do a lot of different things. We'll look at some examples. Generally, there's this difference in Square Enix's eyes, I guess you could say, that when, for example, on the Party Finder, let me get to Party Finder. Oh, they're still here. So there's people who are selling. So Party Finder, I believe I've talked about it before. Party Finder is this place that someone puts up a party, and then people join your party. Great. Super awesome. Um, but some people use the duty finder for other purposes besides just specific instances and dungeons. Um, like you can do for duty roulette, you could do it for extreme trials that you want to do clear parties of. People do it for Castor and Meridium, all this kind of stuff. Um, and that's perfectly fine and legitimate and all that kind of stuff. As well as these people who are selling things, posting pretty much advertisements about these things that they can do. So he is selling Eden's Promise, so that is the current raid tier. T, Uwu, and Ukab, mounts and more, and you Discord at him and then message him. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to. I have everything, all the stuff for. I pulled up some of the websites that I've seen these people advertise. I don't want to go to them because I've put a lot of time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears into this little Lalafell. I don't want it to go away. So we're gonna do incognito. I'm being overly cautious. I'm sure Square Enix won't be like, you visited that website, burn in hell. But I just don't want that to happen. I love my little Lalafell. So I put where we're not going to attempt to do any of these transactions or Discord these people. Um, so this guy's selling mounts and more. Now he might be doing it for in-game currency. So if I understand my terms of services correctly, and this is kind of based on hearsay from my free company friends, that in-game currency is paying in-game currency to do clears is technically fine, as long as they're not piloting your guy for you. Also, but if it is real money, that's no bueno. So if you pay 1,000,000 gold or gil in this game to get a clear, that's kind of skirting around TOS. But if you pay, $100 to get a T clear, then that's against terms of service, and you can get terminated for doing that. But it happens. I know of several people that I've interacted with personally who have gotten quote unquote carried through a fight, or someone piloted them to do the fight, and so forth. So I'm kind of using this term piloting and kind of explain to you what that is. So piloting is what I'm doing right now to my character. I have logged in to, you can't really see my name anywhere, to my character Zatsev as me, myself, and I'm walking around with him. Now, if I got my husband or a friend in a different state or whatever to log into that account and then play as my character, then that's them piloting it. So piloting it just means that I'm playing my character. So I've known people to pilot other people's characters to do clears, and clearing is just finishing and doing a raid, which is not necessarily. It is, I believe, it's technically against terms of service, but I think you have to be reported for it to come up. This comes to policing, and we can talk a little bit about policing. Yeah, I'm trying to keep myself on track, but I'm also getting off track very quickly. So, right now there's just three. There's three of these little things. T Ukab mounts, Blue Mage. Oh, that's Delubrum, Regane, Savage. Fast and reliable. Ooh. And then this one is just check out our help runs. Now, this could be that it's like, hey, message me and we'll get you matched up with a party that can help you clear something. And here's another tranquility, our help runs. Oh, there's more than one. Oh, I'm just stupid. I'm just not reading these correctly. But yeah, usually they're under roulettes because roulette's the first tab that you click and they show up the first. It's like, hey, here's my Discord. Mystic, mounts, blue mages, and all that kind of stuff. Just all that kind of stuff. Providing assistance, which is kind of code. This one is just selling loot, best in slot, T clears, cheaper and fast. So that's just blatant. Pay me money and I will help you. These ones might actually be an FC that are like, hey, you can come to us and we'll maybe carry you through a fight. So carrying through a fight versus buying a clear for a fight. Carrying implies that you are, piloting your own character, but basically you're in a party of 8, you're basically put off to the side and say, hey, you stand there and we'll do all the mechanics. That's kind of carrying. Whereas buying a clear is, from what I understand, not doing anything with the character. You just kind of give them and they do it, and there you go, you got a clear. So, yeah. So, selling, TOS, policing. I got back to that topic. My 10-minute ramble has gone full circle. So policing these actions. So Square Enix obviously attempts to police RMT, real money transactions. They rely very heavily on reporting, just because, in a game of more than 1 million people, you have to have some modicum of community policing as well as, automated policing. There's only so much policing that one company could do when you're dealing with, a lot of people, as in this game. So you have the easy way of reporting gold spammers. You just right-click and hit RMT that I showed you. You also have the ability to contact GMs or report people to the GMs. The GMs are typically... Let me get to the GM help desk. Support desk. It's called a support desk. So, I have my replies. Here's some current topics. Oh, this tells me... This is what I was talking about when they report how many RMT activities and other illicit activities they did. Participating in RMT/prohibited activities. You have accounts suspended and terminated. So terminated means they're not there anymore. And then you have botting activity, so using any number of third-party tools that allow for automation. I've heard of botting typically for crafting. So people just put on a bot, let it craft for them, and then sell the stuff. I've also seen it in the housing market where people set up a bot just to click and that kind of thing. I also saw one egregious example where a guy was botting his spells and everything casting in a dungeon, so that all he had to do was move out of things so he could do other multitask. At that point, in my opinion, if you're gonna automate your buttons being pressed, you're not really playing the game anymore. You're just moving around. You're paying $14 a month to hit the WASD keys. So I will get to my opinion on buying clears and stuff, but not right now. And then also botting activity by RMT venues included under the participating. So RMT advertising 745. So we have participation in RMT, so people buying into it or selling, I guess, and then people who were botting to advertise the RMT activity, which is the guy that I just reported. He was advertising it, so he would go onto that. I like to think that I'm doing a community service by reporting gold spammers. I know really it's not in the long run, but it makes me feel good that I'm doing something to get rid of an annoyance, or at least one annoying person, because gold sellers and gold spammers kind of, I don't want to say ruin the community, because they don't. The community goes on with or without the bot spamming, and certain data centers and certain servers are worse for these things than other things. And I came to Limsa Lominsa because that's usually where I see them, on Ultros at least. On my other data center account, um, which is on Marlborough, on a different data center, doesn't have as many gold spammers from what I saw. And also I was on Hyperion when I was first playing this game, and I also didn't see almost any gold spammers. So I think there's a preference, maybe the more populated servers, maybe the places that are more role playing focused. And I'll get to why I think that in a moment. Um, and that's kind of where they congregate as well. So talking about the support desk and these RMTs things and policing. So after it tells like, hey, this is how many people we caught cheating, they say like, oh, if you discover any confirmed cheats, you should not exploit them. You should not disseminate that information. Instead, you should ask players to file a report using the in-game command. So system menu, support desk, where it is. You contact us, and you have these 4 different options. So you can hit report harassment, report cheating, report a bug, leave a suggestion. These 2 are more innocuous. There was a there was a bug for a while where there were like 2 or 3 textures that didn't render properly, so that's a bug. That's nothing bad. Leave a suggestion. These are for in-game support related feedback. So if there was a thing along a few weeks ago, and I should have covered it, but I forgot. There was a GM who overstepped his boundaries in a big way. Give me a moment. How do you get a drink? Oh, water. So there was this GM who someone had reported a player for, I don't know if it got reported for harassment. I'm pretty sure it probably got reported for harassment. So what happens when you get reported for harassment or something more serious than just like a slap on the wrist sort of thing? You get sent to what people call jail. It's really just an instanced area that a GM can jump into, and a GM in this context means, I believe, game moderator or game master, one of the 2. And so a moderator comes into the jail with the player, says, hey, this is what you got reported for, this is what we're going to do. Usually it's like, hey, you got reported for harassment, your account was suspended for 3 days, don't do it again, this is how many strikes you have, so on and so forth. So a moderator I don't know how the player got into jail, but the player got into jail. The moderator said, hey, someone reported you for role-playing and advertising your venue for role-playing on Party Finder. That's not allowed. Don't do that ever again, or you might face harsher consequences. And the player asked, is role-playing and advertising role-playing against the Party Finder terms of service, pretty much? And the moderator said, yes, the Party Finder is supposed to be used for finding parties and doing content, and role-playing is not part of those 2 conditions. Or it's a lot of, this kind of blew up. There were a lot of people who were very angry about it because, hey, this one moderator just basically said that role-playing is not content, and text role-playing in Final Fantasy is a good part, is a part, whether you agree with it or not, part of the Final Fantasy ecosystem. And people role-play, and they love role-playing with each other, and more power to them. There are some more riskier parts of role-play, but I don't really care. And also Square Enix didn't really care. Square Enix, I believe, put out a response, or might have just been the moderation part of Square Enix, like the Final Fantasy XIV moderation team Twitter, put out a statement saying, hey, that moderator was in the wrong. Party Finder is perfectly a viable place to, advertise your role-playing venues and such. Carry on. And so that kind of died down. And one of the big arguments that people had is like, there's people who are advertising these RMT transactions or in-game money transactions on duty on Party Finder, they're not really looking for a party. Well, why can't we advertise our role-playing venues? So that's kind of when policing kind of goes awry. Every moderator is an individual, and their interpretations of TOS is an individual. It's kind of like law. um, and it really shows the hierarchy system of policing that's in place for Final Fantasy XIV, at least, is, there's not someone at Square Enix specifically who is, Square Enix doesn't, employ, you know, a bunch of moderators and stuff. These moderators usually are just players. They just happen to also be moderators and that kind of thing. But I might be wrong about that. But yes, it just kind of shows the incongruity, the inconsistency between how rules are applied in different contexts. One moderator just happened to really not like role playing, I guess, and so he just said it's not content, not allowed on the player party finder, which obviously is content for a lot of people, and they are finding a party to roleplay with, so a lot of people got angry. But we're not really here for roleplaying. We're here for moderating, and policing and buying stuff off sketchy websites. But so we have the support desk. We have to report cheating. So if someone using a program gives them an unfair advantage, witness the buying, selling, or bot-driven farming of items using real currency. You may submit a claim here. Please note we are unavailable to provide responses. I had, and then being harassed by another player, whether it be verbally or play-related, submit your claim here. That's for harassment can be all myriad of things. This goes back to the moderation and how strict they are and how not strict they are. It's kind of, I don't know, it's complicated. I have known a few people who have been harassed, and the systems in place for separating yourself from the harassment is, I will say, lackluster. Because if you want to continue playing Final Fantasy and your harasser is playing Final Fantasy, you can move servers, but it's really easy to go to different servers. You can block someone, blacklist them so they can't find you and that kind of stuff, but it's always kind of vague. But anyway, one of the policing things that I kind of wanted to bring up as a personal experience is I used to hang out in the residential districts of the Mist, and for a month or two, I would get private messages, so messages specifically sent to me that said, I should have pulled up the message, but I didn't, that said, hey, Square Enix is ruining our game, tell them you don't like it, sign our petition or whatever. Here's the link to the form thread that you can post in. And me being dumb, I went to the link, and I almost signed in, but then I kind of felt it being fishy. And I looked at, because you go to that link, and it shows you a form website, a form login that looks almost exactly like the Square Enix Lodestone login, but it's not. And what you're doing is you're logging into a phishing scam. So I reported it. I believe I reported it as cheating, or maybe I put it as harassment. I was just like, hey, this user is attempting to fish, to do a phishing scam on people, steal people's information. Here's their message. I went to this link and I found out that it was a phishing scam, so I noped out of there. I don't know what you can do about it, but here's the message. And they just sent back a reply saying, thanks. Blacklist that person. We're trying to get around to that. We're trying to get to fixing that issue. And, didn't really work. I still got tells similar to that, and I always reported them. I reported like 2 or 3 of them. But it just goes to show you that there's a lot of different there's a lot of different problems in Final Fantasy, like gold harassment and that kind of stuff. That's not always solved by automated systems that need someone looking at it. And that kind of points to this interesting back and forth between companies, players, and the technology that they are mediated with. Because, I was talking to my advisor about Michel Dusorteau, who talks about tactical and strategy, I believe. I have it in my notes here. I will look at it. Situational and metonymic practice versus strategy, and so forth. So what Dusorteau talks about is how people deal with contingency and how people adapt to certain social systems. And this is kind of a great example of that. When when people figured out that they could, when would-be evildoers found out that they can do Party Finder and, sell clears and help runs and that kind of stuff and not get stopped, they did that. When gold spammers came out, and try to get around the chat filter systems or whatever, Square Enix institutes restrictions on trial accounts. Well, then the bots just buy real accounts and start saying and telling and spamming everyone. And so then they instigate this really easy report feature in the chat menu so people can just easily report them. So there's this back and forth between, very crafty people and institutions trying to keep up with them. It's this predator and prey sort of sort of dynamic. So yeah. I'm trying to see some news. I remember seeing a thing talking about PvP restrictions for trial accounts. And this is kind of a good segue to talking about restrictions for trial accounts. So, regarding PvP transactions for trial accounts, recently we have confirmed persistent incidents of impersonation, spamming, and illicit activities such as clipping into the terrain in the front line and other PvP content. So that means people were, cheating and doing like aimbots and stuff, you could say, in PvP. And, PvP is kind of, a lot of people like PvP, so what they did was, they said, although account terminations are continually being issued based on player reports and our surveillance systems, these new incidents were confirmed, including cases where Machina was flying above the ground, so some really bad hacks, really. And so they said, despite our increased surveillance and rigorous investigations, these violations of the user agreement have had a significant impact on PvP content and is a major disturbance to normal gameplay. And so these incidents involve a small number of individuals and obtaining and exploiting more than 100 free trial accounts while intentionally changing their devices and setups. So these guys they figured out an exploit and were just doing the exploit, much to the detriment of their fellow players. So what Square Enix did was, as a temporary emergency measure, they're restricting free trial accounts from participating in PvP, which sucks. It was temporary. That was back on February 25th, so I presume that's no longer the case. But maybe it is. That trial players cannot be in PvP areas until they can actually fix it and do hotfix or something. So yeah, it's this constant back and forth of players finding exploits and wanting to cheat, and Square Enix trying to get a stranglehold on their game. But with 100 million eyes, with not 100 million, with, millions of players' eyes on your game code, one or two of them are bound to piece together a way to cheat, to figure out a way around real market transfer restrictions and ways that they can stay safe botting and that kind of thing. It's one of those things that it's humans moving in a very tactical way against Square Enix's tight strategy. People are very slippery, and programmers have to imagine what players are going to do and then try to fix it. But yeah, so a little bit of a talk about policing, and now we can get into kind of the, I would say, shocking sort of things, or at least shocking to myself. So buying raid clears and such, I think might be more prevalent on like role-playing servers because glams. So the hardest stuff to clear usually has really pretty items associated with it, really nice loot drops, mount drops, bragging rights. And so some people want to buy those bragging rights, and some people want to have good gear with a little effort. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not the target audience. I'm not the target audience for this kind of product because even though I don't do Savage content, at some point maybe I will. I will do end-game hard content if I have time. Hashtag grad life. But I enjoy what content I do, so I don't understand the need to buy clears. I don't like false valor, um, stolen valor. That's what that phrase is. When people wear, now in the case of real life, stolen valor is I believe it's illegal in some states. But stolen valor is where you pretend to be a veteran and you wear purple hearts, medals that are not your own, and you gloat about being in Desert Storm and all that kind of stuff without actually having done that. So you're stealing the glory and the valor from other veterans who were actually there. So, yeah. Now that's a much bigger deal in the real world than just some bits on my computer screen. But it kind of has a similar effect in Final Fantasy. There was this big issue for T, so that is the it's level 80, it's very, very hard content. So if you think that, let's say 10% of the Final Fantasy population does Savage rating, so that's high-end endgame content, out of those 10% that do Savage rating, about like 3% attempt Ultimate content. And Ultimate is the highest difficulty in the game. So it goes like hard, Savage, Ultimate. There's Unreal in there, but Ultimate is, if you would clear an Ultimate and you get the weapons from an Ultimate and you show it off, you get a title, a lot of people respect you because, you did this really difficult trial and you got through it. These fights can last for like 20 minutes or some very crazy hard content. But it got to the point with the Alexander T Ultimate that there was it was easy to put someone somewhere and say, hey, stand here and don't die, or like pilot them because Cacbot told you where to go and all that kind of stuff. There was hullabaloo that it was really easy to carry someone through T. And so it became a joke that when people had the Ultimate Legend title, which is the title from T, and they were terrible, people would roll their eyes and say, oh, Ultimate Legend, by the way. And it was kind of a deriding term, like, oh, they say they're really good, but they're actually, the title says they should be very good, but they're actually terrible. And so that's kind of this stolen valor of being like, oh, well, you have the title Ultimate Legend. Did you actually clear T, or did you get carried through T? And I have, I have friends who I watched clear T. They streamed it, and they don't put the Ultimate Legend title on because of those instances. And it's kind of, it lessens the impact of doing hard content. Not to say that it lessens the impact of the satisfaction you feel from finishing that content. Like if you're doing, Here, let me close all my windows and just give you the backdrop. If you're doing content and you're playing if you're doing T content, ultimate content, and you finish it, that's a big achievement. I can't imagine how good that feels to do really hard content. And so like buying clears does not diminish that. It just, for the player who buys the clear, they are perhaps robbed of the satisfaction of doing content. For me personally, I would feel very awkward if I bought a clear, if I spent real money to do a clear that I clearly didn't earn. It would make me feel like I stole valor, that I am kind of diminishing other people's gains from being uh, from pretending to have done this clear. So that's just my opinion on it. And if people want to spend money on doing it, and it's a lot of money, I'll show you the websites that I found. It's their choice, it's their prerogative, but it's hard to justify for myself. So anyway, let me turn off the sound here so you don't hear it in the background, and we can actually look at how much money these clears cost and gold costs in these real money transfers. Boom, there it is. Actually, let's reopen that. Nope, never mind. So there's different websites. I have 4 of them pulled up, and they talk about buying. You can buy Gil. Let's hit continue and just see. You can pick from your different things. Let's just do this one. So you can buy. This is your exchange rates apparently between Gil and real life money. So if I wanted to buy 1,000,000 Gil, it would cost me $1,500. I don't think anyone's doing that. I hope. That seems like a lot of money. And Gil can do a lot of cool things. But I think there's a lot of better things that you can do than spending $1,500 on 1,000,000 Gil. That doesn't really get you that far. And if you want 1,000,000 Gil, you can just on the Square Enix Mog Station site, you can buy a boost, which will get you to a level 70 of any class that you don't have at level 70, and they give you like 500k for $20. It's a much better deal. But yeah. Oh look, I can register VIP 6 and I get 7% off. This is just a game. This does multiple games. It does Final Fantasy, Riders of Icarus, Soul Worker, Neverwinter, King of Avalon. And yeah, and more games. Well, that just takes me here. So yeah, track my order, all that kind of stuff. You can just buy gold. No, that's not very interesting. What is interesting is all of this stuff. So this is PvP Bank, one that I see advertised all the time. PvP Bank, not G2G, but player auctions I see advertised very often. So yeah, it's kind of a strange occurrence. But for PvP Bank, you can buy clears, and we can compare and contrast the pricing between these two websites, because I have multiple things. So we have ultimate clears that can go from $200 to $300. Savage, the current Savage tier goes up 200, 300, 400, 500. Cinder Drift, 120, all this kind of stuff. They're expensive. And maybe perhaps one of the reasons why these sites exist is because, so when I watch my friend go from first day working on it to clearing it, it was like 3 months of like 9 hours, 9 to 12 hours a week. So if you extrapolate that out, so let's just go with 10 because it's a nice round number. 10 times 4 times 3, so that's 120 hours in just to clear from day one to clear. 120 days, 120 hours of work. That's a lot of time investment, and I can understand why someone might go, I don't want to do that, but I want the cool looking weapons. I'm just going to go buy clear. And maybe it's worth that $300 to get an ultimate clear. Just to get a cool looking sword in a video game. Um, it's okay. It confuses me why people would want to waste that much. I don't want to say waste, to spend $300 on a cool looking weapon. Um, when I'm sure there's cheaper places, or the cheapest option, which is just doing it yourself. But that's also man hours. So maybe it's that cost analysis between man hours and actually like doing stuff. So maybe. But so this site, let's compare ultimate runs. Excuse me for a moment. Sorry. These are hot items. So let's look at the Epic of Alexander T Ultimate. It's the newest Ultimate. It's hot, according to this website. Here, let me move my logo. Oh, doing it wrong. Unlock that. Move that down here. All right, move the logo a little bit. So now this one also has, you can buy currency. Ooh, they're actually selling the tombstones. Oh, they're selling, wow, they're selling a lot of stuff. So these are all in-game currencies that aren't gil and that are somewhat difficult to get and have to be earned by you. So you can't get someone else to gift you MGP. Someone has to pilot your account to get you MGP. So that's twofold, twofold problem with TOS. You're letting someone else pilot your account, and you're also buying things with real money for in-game currency. All problems. But it's kind of enticing. Oh, I only pay, $30, give this guy, and this guy will get me my tomes for a week so I can go raiding. But at the same point, how much is that a slippery slope? Oh, I'm just going to buy myself, my tomes for the week for $30 to I'm going to buy my raid clear for a certain amount of money. But you can also have gathering. Ooh, mounts are hot. So Sabbatender is another one where you have to get piloted to get. Most of these are actually, yeah, these are all raid farms. So to get, like to get any of these Gwibbers, they're dragons, but they want to give them a funny name. To get any of the dragons from this tier, you have to farm the extremes. So you have to do extremes over and over and over again until you get lucky enough that a mount drops. And then even then, you might not actually get the mount. So you're just letting someone pilot your account to do it. But oh, look. We have reviews. I was very nervous about this purchase. Chat was prompt and helpful. Isn't that nice? Resistance weapons, and a lot of these stuff is time investment that you really don't want to do. Given how long resistance weapons take in game, I can maybe see people buying it, but also for $400, I probably would just do the grind myself. Um, there's Eureka, there's other relic weapons. Very sketchy looking website, I will say. But, you know, Oh, they have Mog Station items. I'm paying for it. And this says hot items. Oh. So this is where it gets funky. So these are, I'll talk about these later, but we'll save these. These are items that you already buy with real money from the Mog Station, or it's called the Final Fantasy Online Store now, but everyone just calls it the Mog Station. But so, you buy mounts from the Mog Station and different clothes and things, and these guys have it for cheaper. I don't know how, but it's kind of sketchy. I have a hypothesis, but we'll get there when we go back to my third link. So let's go back to power leveling. Can I just do that? Oh, oh, service categories, PC. We're back to that thing. So let us compare these ultimates to these ultimates. So this is another website that I see relatively frequently advertised, and they want and let's see, two other ultimates for only $160. So that's a little bit cheaper. Um, and I believe these are actually like people. Oh, so these are actually, this is kind of like an auction website where different sellers sell different things at different amount of money. So this guy is trying to sell his Blue Mage Marble mount, which is kind of a pain to get. You have to do content with 8 other people to do whatever you need to do. $400 for that clear. Lala Boost is selling some ultimates for $380. Yeah, so these guys are actual people, looks like semi-actual people, um, who sell raid clears and stuff and piloting, which is interesting. So there's actual people who are engaging rather than just shady. There's a lot of shady people out there, I will say, but these websites make it kind of seem like a community project. Like, oh, this website is kind of set up like eBay or something where it's like, oh, hey, we'll get you in contact with a seller, and that seller will be nice, and we'll have different ratings, and you can be confident that he'll do what you want him to do, which is fascinating. Um, let's do items. One of the interesting things for this website that I found was that there are people who are selling high quality crafted gear. So crafted gear is it's just that you can craft it in game with in-game materials, and then you can put a bunch of extra stats on it and sell it. This one is selling it for real life money. So you spend $900 and you'll get high quality 510 eye level gear. You can get other people to do this for you in game. It is not something where the person is going to pilot you and give you pilot your character and clear content for you and get you the mount. No, it's just someone who's going to make you gear and give it to you, which is interesting. um, but hey, well, you pay $90 for a full set of crafted gear. Interesting. Um, I personally have a friend who can craft that I just ask him to craft things for, but oh, these are interesting. I've been saying interesting a lot. I apologize. One person in chat, which is probably me. So these are account selling. So there's raid clear selling for, loot, weapons, glams. Glams being in case funny costumes. That's my lingo coming through. So costumes, raid loots and stuff. Is these are actual accounts, people. These are actually avatars that they're selling. So this guy wants to sell level 80 white mage for $500. I am the original owner. So this guy wants to sell off his thing. Um, so maybe you want an alt to be able to do more raiding or something. You could just buy this, um, buy this account that has a bunch of stuff unlocked. Interesting. Sub ends 14 April 2021. I am the original owner. And one thing with accounts is these accounts don't look like anything that I care about. Um, and one thing for account buying and such, there because of the way that Final Fantasy had its big cataclysm and then started anew, Square Enix basically burned the whole game to the ground and then built a new game from the ashes. People who had accounts on the original 14, Final Fantasy 14, are and then made accounts in the new Final Fantasy 14 are called legacy accounts. So they get like a little tattoo on the back of their neck. And other than that, pretty much nothing. But I have heard stories about people buying legacy accounts for like the tattoo or just to say you have a legacy account. There might be other ways to tell that you a legacy. Maybe it says like a title or something. But man, people sell accounts. And I think really all this comes down to is time investment. Um, FF logs uploads on demand, extra charge. This guy's going all out. So it's really a time commitment. Do you want to level an alt or pay the money, the $500 for a level 80 character? That's not a lot, but do I want another character who do I want to make an alt for some ratings and then make an alt for rating and then try to level it all the way up, or do I just buy an account? I personally would just level up things because I don't like paying $400 for a level 80 story character, but hey, it exists. Um, if you want to go out and buy it and get your account terminated, more power to you. But I kind of want to. So we got counts, raid clears, guild, and then we get interesting stuff that's actually buyable with real money, which I've always been confused about about these retailers. Like these are bought with real money. I presume they buy them on sale and then they save up like when when the online store has a sale on Fantasias, they just buy a bunch and then over the year sell them, maybe. Or they do the thing with like um, cheap clear, cheap game codes for Steam, or like on the really sketchy websites, the fake codes for Xbox games and things, where they sell you a code, and that code might be stolen from a different user, or it might be run through a generator where it's a valid code, but they just didn't pay for that code. That happens. So that might be going on here. I think it also might be hey, we bought this on sale and we're selling it for a profit, because I can't imagine how these guys are making a profit. because like the Far Eastern Lord attire, that's a bad example. The Chocobo carriage mount, for example, is like 36 bucks in real life currency, which is a lot, a lot of money for a mount. But here it's only $78. How does that economics work? I don't understand the economics of that. These are the ones that I can understand people buying from these websites because they are cheaper. Oh, David's here. Hi, David.
Hi,
I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm David Kutchik. I'm a PhD student here at UW Milwaukee. I'm just back from class, so I thought I'd come in and hang out for the last half hour.
Go. Sure, sure. Or, yeah. So I'm talking about shady business tactics.
Yay!
So,
Microtransactions?
well, not even microtransactions. So Final Fantasy has, as all MMOs pretty much have gold spammers. I talked about it in the beginning that they say, hey, go to this website. Go to this website. Here's the link. You can get gold for really cheap. I actually looked at the website. It's not that cheap. I'll show you the numbers. um, like, go to this website, buy in-game currency for real money, and get your account terminated. Very against TOS stuff. So that's why I'm on an incognito browser, so I don't get my account terminated. But I think it's kind of interesting. So, see, let's buy some gil from the Final Fantasy. I already been here, but primal. We'll go to behemoth. So like you can get a million gil, which is not that much. Oh wait, no, is that 100,000 gil? Oh, it is. Oh, I'm sorry, VOD people who are watching. I got my numbers mixed up. Why do they do it that way? So you can get 1,000,000,000 gil, more gil than you'll ever need in your whole life on that game, for $1,500. Do you think you want to spend $1,500 on in-game currency?
Mm-mm.
No. That you can also get
No.
your account terminated for if they find out. But yeah, I think it's kind of a time investment. Maybe you can speak to maybe like a psychology sort of idea about it, because a lot of the so this is all illicit activity. If someone reports you that uh you bought a clear, so someone piloted your account or used your account to do content and get cool things for you, and it's not you earning it, you can get terminated for that. It's against TOS and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And people pay on this website. They're offering raid clears for 200 bucks, and I thought it was kind of a time investment thing. Like you can either like the Epic of Alexander, I watched someone do from day one to clear was about 3 months, with like 10 to 12 hours each week working on it. There might be some gaps in there, but that's 120 hours worth of doing this one fight. Or you can spend $300, not have to spend the fight time figuring out the fight, and just get the cool weapons. I thought it was kind of an inconvenience thing.
Mm.
That's really expensive. I was
Yeah.
thinking like clears were like 50 bucks, and I looked at the website. I'm like, 400 to clear Eden's Promise? Okay. But you had just came in when I was talking about the Mog Station stuff. So this mount, for example, costs the one that I'm circling with my mouse. You'll see it in a second. Costs typically like $38 on the online store with real money, but they're selling it for $7.80. So I have no idea how the
Mm.
economics works behind that.
No.
It's like how do you get these codes? I was thinking, I don't know if you've heard this, but like there's like Microsoft, like really cheap Microsoft keys, or like Microsoft Window keys, or really cheap like Xbox or Steam games are sometimes hacked in a way where they have a computer generating valid codes, and eventually they land on a code that someone else like is active but hasn't been redeemed yet. So they sell you that code and you use that code, and then the person who actually bought the game with that code can't use it anymore because it's already been used.
Ooh,
I was thinking that.
rip.
Or something like that. I honestly have no clue how economics of this stuff works. But I
Yeah.
just think it's interesting. But yeah, people buy mounts and tire, all that kind of stuff. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. But I was dedicating the last half of the stream to trial accounts. And while we're
Yeah.
talking about trial accounts, I can go and do roulettes to have interesting things on the screen. So, um, if you were to try this account, if you wanted to try Final Fantasy, there is a free trial of Final Fantasy, as there is with a lot of different MMOs. Um, it's kind of the demo version of the game. This is a very generous demo version of the game, I will say, content-wise.
Like it gives you a lot for to play for free.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of restrictions, and we'll see those restrictions. Um, but there's 80 levels of story, so like you get up to level 80 in the game, and the free trial lets you get up to 60. So you basically can
Oh,
do half the story with a trial account, which is really neat.
nice.
When I was doing, when I back in my day, when I was doing the trial account, it was only up to level 30. So you got like halfway through AR, so the original expansion, and then you had to buy the game. So yeah,
Mm.
but free trial, there's a lot of things with this. I like how it says I'm playing Final Fantasy Online. I'm just talking over Windows right now. But there's a lot of trying with the free trial, and I wish Ren was here. But that's okay. If he comes in, he comes in. That kind of restricts the sociality of the game, as well as some of the mechanics. Like for example, free trial accounts, they have their level capped at 60. They can only have 3,000 gil, which is kind of restrictive because you can't really buy cool costumes and stuff with 3,000 gil. And the interesting stuff is you can't use the shout, yell, or tell in-game chat options during the free trial. So if someone like tells our DMs, so if someone DMs you, and I've heard this, I've heard a story from a friend. Like he was on a free trial account, and this really nice passerby sent him a tell and said, "Oh, you look like you're really new to this game. Like hit me up, like friend me or whatever, and if you have any questions, send me a tell and I can answer them." But he was on a free trial, so he couldn't send a tell to him at all. So it's just like restricting that sociality element. Um,
Yeah.
Players cannot access in-game market board, so you can't really engage in the game economy. You can't hire retainers. That's kind of just a thing. You can see free trial players can join a link shell or cross-world link shell, which are just group chats, but they cannot create link shells or cross-world link shells during a free trial. So if you're in a free trial, as well, players cannot join a free company during the free trial. Um, you can join a party, but you can't assemble a party. So you can't invite people to your party, but they can invite you to their party. You can't join a PvP. Oh, they still have that issue. And then they cannot log into Lodestone, the official form or companion application during the free trial. So pretty much all of that stuff tells me that if you don't have friends when you join on a trial account, it's going to be really hard to meet new people and talk to them and get involved in the Final Fantasy community. Would you agree with that
Mm.
assessment?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Totally.
It's like you can't make your own party. You can't join a free company, which is a guild, which is like the main socializing aspect. Um, it points to like if you have friends, you're gonna be fine, because
Yeah,
like your
totally.
friends can invite you to a party and your friends can invite you to a link shell, so you have this group chat. They can't invite you to the free company, but if once you're in a group chat, like hey, you're good to go. Um, but if you don't have a friend, And like if you don't have a friend and you're not part of like what can you do? You just meet people through party like when you do duty
Or
finder.
like you go online, you
Yeah,
like go to like a Discord
a
server or
Discord
something
server
like
or like
that.
Reddit. I see a lot of like
Yeah.
beginner questions on Reddit because
Yeah.
they
Or
can't
Tumblr
go.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. It's interesting that they reserve that they don't let free trial players interact with the sociality of the game, which is like the whole point of massive multiplayer online games. Like, yeah, a new player could be sold on the story of Final Fantasy XIV, but a lot of what is great about Final Fantasy XIV and MMOs in general is all the people there. Multiplayer is in the name.
Yeah.
So, but it's like restricting, and I think I did a strategic thing by pointing out gold spammers and monitor people call it gray market stuff. So it's kind of not like black market. It's not that shady, but it's still shady. Shady. Um, so
Just not quite as shady.
just not quite as shady. We're not selling organs. We're just selling clears. um, but so a lot of the so a lot of the free like gold spammers and stuff. If you say, hey, free trial players can't shout, can't like spam the area messages and things. Can't you shout or yell, which is how you blast your voice across the whole map, pretty much, the area you're in. That restricts people from
Mhm.
spamming gold, spamming advertisements. Um, if you can't use the in-game market board, if it's a bot and they're just crafting, then they can't flood the market with crafting stuff. So a lot of the free game, like the sociality constrictions, is based on, I would say, in some way, the botting activity of gold spam, like spamming messages, advertising gold selling and stuff, which is a problem with moderation. It's really hard to get rid of those guys, because
Yeah.
they just make new accounts and they come back and um, I showed this on stream before, but they always put out this report every 2 weeks or so about how many accounts have been terminated for engaging in a real money transaction activity, which is like buying clears and stuff. And it's always like 4,000. It's about 4,000 all the time. So there are people who are engaging in it
Jeez. All the time.
all the time,
Pretty
like
consistently.
pretty consistently. It's pretty consistent, like 4,000 to 5,000 people who get accounts terminated, like deleted from the game. Which is why I'm so
Gotcha.
scared about.
I
Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna be back. Something's in the oven, so I'll be back.
Well, David's baking something, so that's good. um, so, but yeah, I will continue to carry on. For the VOD viewers, if you've made it this far, you'll remember that I talked about free trial players being banned from PvP because of cheating, and it's still there. So I imagine that they have not fixed that. In the 20 or 13 days since that announcement happened. I'll give them some time. But yeah, talking about like the Reddit and stuff, maybe we can I'll involve David in this conversation because he likes talking about fan culture, and I think it'd be a good conversation to talk about players logging into the Lodestone official forums and things. Of course, Granix reserves the right to make amendment to these free trial terms, add or remove limitations on free trial players with or without notice. Its own discretion at any time, which means, that's just what you're gonna do. And how you graduate, for example, from free trial, is you buy the game. Typically, if you buy the newest expansion, it comes with all of the other expansions, except for the base game. I think you have to buy the base game. I'm not entirely sure. But you get the base game, you get all the expansions, you start to subscribe, so $15 a month, and then you have to um, and then you're no longer a free trial, and you get access to, more money, more everything. One thing that is interesting is they do not have a restriction on, cannot trade with others players during the free trial. It really does restrict the all of these things talk to botting activity or piloting activity or buying clear activity. Um, so if a free trial player can't trade with other players during the free trial, then that means that you can't trade them gil if they buy gil, all that kind of stuff. So it's making players have, or these sellers have real accounts that they pay for to do the stuff that they want to do. So shouting advertisements or telling people, sending tells to people, spamming stuff, um, sending in-game letters and trading with others could be construed as restricting trading activities. So you can't trade illicit things with others. Um, I don't know why free trial players can't join a free company. I feel like that's kind of just pointless. Or assemble a party. Those two things really do cut the sociality out of the free trial. It really just makes it hard for players to get involved in communities. Because like if I ran into a free trial player and they were really nice in a dungeon, and I see that they don't have a free company, and I go, hey, if you want to join my free company, go for it. Like I'd love to have you. And then they go, well, I'm a free trial member. I can't join a free company. That kind of sucks. And then they go and disappear into the aether because I can't find him again. Like my uh, recently played with players are just not there. So, but yeah. So
All right, I am back.
you are back just in time. I came up with a great
Yes.
discussion question. So,
Oh, okay.
because you talk a lot about fan cultures, we're
Yes.
doing a little crossover here. Um, so one of the points about for what free trial players cannot do is they can't log into Lodestone, which is just the pretty much the Square Enix published wiki for Final Fantasy. It's a Square
Okay.
Enix. It's pretty much like, oh, you want to figure out where to find this? Go to the Lodestone. The official forum or companion application during the free trial. So I was thinking like the official forum is, where players are supposed to congregate and ask questions and find answers and things. Um, but you can't do that with free trial, so they have to seek out other websites, right? Like Reddit, like we talked about. How do you see
Mhm.
that happening? Maybe not just in terms of Final Fantasy, but in other gaming outside of the game communities. So like fan communities, I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah. Can you say that again? I got an email and got distracted.
That's okay. So how
I'm
do
also
like
just tired.
that's fine. So how do like so in your experience, how do you see outside websites like a fan like the Reddit for like Majora's Mask randomizers and
Mhm.
stuff? How do those outside websites, Final Fantasy and other games, like work? Like how do you see them, talking about things and giving help and that kind of stuff? I don't know. What's your general
See, I
experience
don't
with
go
them?
on. I go. I mostly have experience with wikis. I don't really go on
Okay.
forums all that much.
Hmm.
Just because I like my experience with forums would be like, how do I download this thing, or like where do I go
Hmm.
to figure out how to like which patch software works well with this, with this .n64 file. So I don't have too much experience with forum. I do
Mhm.
have experience with wikis.
Go
Um,
go for
and
it.
I like fan wikis a lot. I think fan wikis are really, depending on the community, I shouldn't say overall, but in general they're very robust.
Okay. And what do you mean by like
So
robust?
like if I'm looking at the wiki for um like Bulbapedia, for example, is a wiki for Pokemon. Like
Mhm.
it's very thorough and not only saying like this is the Pokemon, this is their stats, these are their moves, but also it's like here's trivia about them. Here's where they appeared in the anime. Here's where they
Mhm.
appeared in the manga. Here's, and so like usually what you get with fan cultures is that you get a very, because different people have different interests around that thing, you
Mhm.
usually get the wiki to become pretty strong and full of information. Just like you would with like Wikipedia, right? Where like you have a bunch of different people who are all interested in like aviation and like the beginning of aviation, right? So then you get all these different voices that come together to form Wikipedia pages about it. It's the same thing with games and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there are several Wikipedias that are not Square Enix run for Final Fantasy. There is the Gamer Escape, which takes forever to load on my PC for whatever reason. Um, we're just gonna wait for this trial.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I had to drink water. And then there's the console games wiki, I think, for Final Fantasy. But one of them, the um the Gamer Escape Wikipedia has a bunch of, it's very time elapsed 27 minutes. I don't know what I'm going into, but we will see. Typically, I have a specific thing on my party finder. Oh, this is why. Um, I have a specific thing clicked on my party finder to join parties in progress. So if someone leaves a duty before it's complete, I'm the one that gets called. And so
Gotcha.
it's very like when and it tells you how much time has elapsed, and it's like time elapsed 27 minutes, and I'm like, oh no, what's going on in this poor thing right now. Oh, I also have to remember how to play samurai, but that's fine. But yeah, and so like I know Gamer Escape and also the Lodestone have the have the ability for like player contributions, so people can comment and say, hey, I saw this drop in this specific place and you should go get it there, or um I don't know where my buttons are. Oh, there's my button. That's the button I want. um I should have played samurai. But it's kind of cool to see the comments and being like, oh hey, this doesn't exist, or your information is wrong, you need to go over here. So I guess that's kind of like
Mhm.
fan culture, be like, oh okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know about, you might have a better idea for like fan culture, but I always see people, I always like seeing the ones that are talking about um that are from like 5 years ago, because this game is like living and breathing, right?
Yeah.
So so things change, and so like I look up a question and I see something from 2017 and I'm like, oh, that's from like 2 expansions ago.
So it's
um
probably not
it's
accurate.
probably not accurate, but also it's kind of neat to see the changes in um the changes in a game, sort of thing, tracks the
Totally.
changes.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the, because I've just never been an MMO kind of
Hmm.
person. I just I haven't really experienced something like that because I
Yeah.
haven't really done
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's got to be updates. Like you played Shadow of Mordor, and that game is was kind of like a living and breathing sort of thing. They have a new game out, so I presume that it's no longer the case now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Honestly, I've played that for about like an hour and a half, so I'm not
Hmm.
too sure about that.
Oh, hey, I have
But
Professor Oak in my party. Speaking
oh,
of,
nice.
speaking of, Pokemon, I just like, oh, I have Professor Oak, the Red Mage, in my party. Sweet. But like new games have a very um.
Oh, sorry, my timer went off again. My fish are ready.
Your fish
I'll be
already.
back in a sec.
All right, I'll be back in a sec as I'm attempting to do this. Why did I die? Well, that's a thing. Oh, there's a lot of people. Bees. Toad's dead. Why is everyone dead over here? So confusing. Why are y'all dead? This is fine. Okay. Let's look at some names while we're hanging out here. Can I third eye this? Nope. We got. We have tri. We either have trypanosoma or trypanosoma. Good name, strong name, long name. We have Kratos or Kratos. Kratos is a funner name. Move him? He's not gonna move him. Okay. Following up the discussion that I had previously on dead content. This is not a fight that I would normally get in roulette, but they are currently doing a event where you do certain dungeons to get Moogle tomestones, and these Moogle tomestones allow you to get things that are hard to get um, from older content that you don't want to do anymore, like beast tribes or any of that kind of stuff. Like annoying things to get, you can do these tomestones to get. Do the dungeons to get the tomestones, but they're always older content that is not done very often. And so yeah, so they're just resurrecting more old content by making it useful to people to do stuff. Hopefully our healers do the thing they're supposed to do. Oh, tank, you're not supposed to take that. There we go. So yeah. Oh, Professor Oak was ready to take that from me. You don't get my things. Oh, B's basically dead. Good. I really hope B just doesn't know what they're doing. That'd be great. Okay. Oh, Oh, I suppose I should go over here and see. Alright. Oh, I should probably stay over here. Oh gosh. It's gonna explode. Alright. I can understand why I came into this at 27 minutes. This is how the Thunder God's going. I can't wait to see how the other one's gonna go. There's a red mage LB. Yay, he's dead. That's fun. Alright, that's cute. Ah, good old... I think this is the last boss. Yeah, this is the last boss. Yeah, just start the thing when people are still in the cutscene. It's a great idea. Great idea, guys. Go team. Oh, I jumped back. I should have jumped back. Alright. Doing the thing. Should have a button to look behind me. Should probably put music on. There you go. It's kind of loud. I'll fix it in a moment. Is this a bad idea? This might be a bad idea. Ah, no, we're good. We're good. Damn. Oh, Clockman. I try to get out of everyone's way. Oh.
Okay, I am back.
You are back. I haven't really been talking because I'm trying not to die. I think I'm gonna die. Oh, I didn't die. Sweet. Did kids.
Lots of AoEs going on.
There are a lot of AoEs going on. This is probably every single time I'm like, I'll do a roulette on stream. It'll be great. I always get the worst ones. Never fails to get the worst ones. Alright. Go with this one. Alright. Oh, there's Doritos. Doritos supposed to stack together. That's not happening. Okay. There's just a bunch of going on on screen right now.
Yeah, it's better for my eyes to not
Just don't
see
look.
it, I think. Just don't look
just
the other way.
Look the other way. Look the other way. This is a great time to res. You guys should res. No? No reses? That's fine. I'm sitting here being really like sarcastic, like, you guys wanna do stuff? I think it's like right over here. I guess they are resing, so no shade, I guess. But yeah. Also, I have the worst angle for all of these fights since I'm so short. That's the one thing with races in this game, is that you actually have a difference in camera angle and height depending on your character's height. So if you're a Lalafell, your sight is drastically different than someone who's like a Rogadin, who's the tallest in the game.
Interesting.
And that's like the only difference between the races is the camera.
Do you so is it like if you're taller you literally can see more of the field, or is it just like the pivot point is different?
It's kind of, I think it's more of like the pivot point, but that inherently makes certain things more difficult to see. Like since I'm so short and I'm pivoted down, I can't tab target things as easy. So I have to like move camera, hit tab, and then actually you can like target something. So it's not like that terrible, but it's still like a noticeable difference. When I go to my taller class, because I'll eventually change back into a taller race, it's very easy to see. So, but yeah. Oh, today's the 15th. I'm getting my stimulus check on the 17th. Woo.
Oh, I haven't even checked when I'm supposed to get mine.
Mine's actually just pending. The bank has it. They just haven't given it to me, I guess.
I'll have to look. I'm gonna do a little look-see. This is exciting. I forgot about it.
Yeah. Oh, right, there's a whole thing. Right. I was like, we weren't supposed to be at this part of the fight. But no, I just misremembered the fight. It's like, what are we doing here? Oh, okay. I want to have this conversation with this guy in chat, but I'm also trying not to die, so it's like...
It's tough.
Yeah, this guy was like, I don't want giving bad advice. Don't give bad advice on my watch. This guy, this is pretty much dead content. Kind of for obvious reasons, kind of for the fact this is a hard raid. Quote unquote hard. It's just kind of more cumbersome than anything, but. Oh, I'm getting a lag spike. That's great. There we go. You can tell, once it gets to that point, you can tell that I'm having a lag spike. Because no one's moving. Great times.
So what's this thing in the middle that you're attacking?
This is, apparently her name is Ultima, the High Seraph. I might DC. Oh. I might be DCing right now. Help me. Help me! Oh. Yeah, so I'm currently disconnecting. This happens sometimes in online games. There you go.
You just like randomly get disconnected.
It depends on your network connection. It also depends on like your connection to the server, so your ping. Um,
Mm.
but I mean, good news is I don't have to do some of the fight. um, but yeah, there might be some instances issues and things. There's like a problem child data center that always has issues with the the instance servers.
Mm.
So like dungeons and things are on in instances. I'm having a hard time saying that word for some reason. So if there's issues with the instance servers, doing dungeons and stuff is almost untenable. Um, Location: the Orban Monastery. Let me in. Oh, nope. World queuing the queue. But yeah, um, so they have to constantly fix instance world and stuff. Other times it's just your internet is terrible. Um,
Yeah.
I would say in this instance it's probably not my internet. Might have just been a snafu because I mean I'm streaming pretty steadily. I'm on Discord. I'm not breaking up on Discord, so it might just be my personal connection with the server. There we go. Will the fight be over, or will I die? Oh, sounds like the fight is over. Oh, yes. So that happens. That you get DC'd. Sometimes you DC and you come back in the middle of a fight, and then that's no fun. But you know, things happen.
Yeah. What can you do?
What can you do? Ah, I think I'm out of things to say, David. I think I'm going to end the stream 15 minutes earlier. 15
That
minutes
is
early.
okay. I'm struggling a little bit too. It's okay.
I've said
I'm
my
just tired.
piece. Well,
Yes.
actually, I guess I can ask you, David. Should I do a fantasy? Because next week I want to do a different MMO. I don't want to do Final Fantasy. I want to do something else.
Okay.
Do you think I should do a sci-fi MMO, or should I do another fantasy MMO?
Sci-fi. Let's do sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
Let's
All
switch it
right,
up. Yep.
switch it up. All right, all right, all right. Might do like some Star Trek Online because I have that on my Steam library
Sure.
already because I played it a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
But all right, I have this new fancy thing. I have an outro that I have. Bam. It
Okay. Bam it is.
bam. No, I have this outro bumper. Um there it is on stream. Thanks for watching. Come watch our read meme. There's only the two of us in this chat, but you know, we do old content rating in Final Fantasy. That's my friend's Twitch URL, and it's at 7 p.m. tonight. So
Sweet.
thank you for watching. If you're still here on the VOD people, if not, we're talking to no one, so no harm done. But we will talk to everyone next week. Bye.
Bye.